Oscar De La Hoya is back in the spotlight with his regular Clap Back Thursday videos, and this time he's targeting his longtime rival, British promoter Eddie Hearn. The two promoters have been going back and forth for years, often exchanging harsh words. De La Hoya, the head of Golden Boy Promotions, has never shied away from criticizing Hearn, the head of Matchroom Boxing. Their rivalry seems rooted in competition over fighters and events, but De La Hoya has been more vocal in fueling this feud. This time, the Golden Boy CEO saw the perfect opportunity to take aim at Hearn after what unfolded at Wembley Stadium the previous weekend. Anthony Joshua, Hearn's most prominent fighter and a global boxing icon, suffered a shocking defeat at the hands of underdog Daniel Dubois. Dubois, while a talented heavyweight, wasn't expected to beat Joshua, a former two-time heavyweight champion. As a result, Ajay's future in the sport has become a hot topic of debate, with many questioning where his career will go from here. De La Hoya, sensing the chance to get a dig in at Hearn, was quick to gloat over the upset. In the video, De La Hoya didn't hold back. He started by recapping the fight and giving credit to Dubois while also praising Joshua. Anthony Joshua was knocked out in the 5th round by Daniel Dubois. "It was actually an amazing and entertaining fight, and I like AJ De La Hoya," said. But the compliments quickly turned into a direct attack on Hearn. De La Hoya pointed out what he called another major failure for the Matchroom boss, adding, "This was another huge ol' for Eddie Hearn, who is literally 0-11 to Frank Warren this year." De La Hoya is referring to Hearn's poor run in 2023, where many of his fighters have lost key matchups, particularly to those promoted by his British rival Frank Warren, who promotes Daniel Dubois. He went on to criticize Hearn's management of his fighters, claiming that signing with Matchroom is bad luck. "This continues the Matchroom curse, meaning if you sign with Matchroom, you're either guaranteed to lose or get injured," De La Hoya quipped, further jabbing at Hearn's struggles this year. The rivalry between Hearn and De La Hoya isn't just about losses in the ring, it's personal, and De La Hoya also brought up a more personal dig. He referenced Hearn's awkward face-off with former Matchroom fighter Devin Haney at Wembley. Haney, now an undisputed lightweight champion, was previously signed with Hearn but has since left the promoter. The two crossed paths at the Joshua Dubois event, and it was clear that there was tension between them. De La Hoya took the opportunity to criticize Hearn's ability to manage fighters, saying, "Eddie, you can't build a fighter to save your life. Anthony Joshua had the world at his fingertips, and you found a way to fumble his career." De La Hoya's implication is that Hearn mismanaged Joshua, leading to his recent losses and uncertain future, despite Joshua being one of the most marketable fighters in boxing for years. However, while De La Hoya is quick to criticize, the reality isn't quite so simple. Hearn didn't ruin Joshua's career. It's important to note that this wasn't a case of Hearn throwing Joshua into an impossible fight. Almost everyone expected Joshua to beat Dubois. Joshua, a former Olympic gold medalist and heavyweight champion, was heavily favored, and the loss was a major upset. Upsets are a common part of boxing, and they don't always reflect on the promoter's decisions. Hearn himself has pointed out in several interviews that Joshua has had incredible success under his promotion, both financially and professionally. Joshua became one of the biggest stars in boxing, filling arenas like Wembley Stadium and the O2 Arena in London, and his bouts generated millions of dollars in revenue. While Joshua's recent performances have raised concerns, particularly after his losses to Alexander Usyk and now Daniel Dubois, it's hard to argue that Hearn mismanaged his career. After all, Joshua has remained one of the highest-paid athletes in the world. De La Hoya's claim that Hearn fumbled Joshua's career ignores the fact that Joshua has earned tens of millions under Hearn's promotion. Whether or not Joshua would have made the same kind of money with De La Hoya is speculative, and we will never know. Despite this, De La Hoya's main target in his rant was Hearn, not Joshua. He seemed to take great pleasure in mocking Hearn's recent struggles, pointing out his bad run of form with fighters and events. Yet, it's worth noting that even though De La Hoya takes public shots at Hearn, Hearn has mentioned several times that De La Hoya behaves very differently in person. According to Hearn, when the two meet face-to-face, De La Hoya is always friendly and polite, far from the aggressive tone he takes online. This suggests that De La Hoya's public attacks are more about showmanship and maintaining his own profile rather than genuine animosity. Looking ahead, Eddie Hearn faces the challenge of rebuilding Anthony Joshua's career. Joshua remains a huge name in boxing, but after his recent setbacks, fans and analysts are wondering if he can return to the top of the heavyweight division. Hearn will need to carefully select Joshua's next opponents, manage his public image, and keep him motivated. Many in the boxing world are interested to see if Hearn can bring Joshua back to the championship level. And no doubt, Oscar De La Hoya will be watching closely, ready to criticize if things go wrong. This rivalry between Hearn and De La Hoya is likely to continue, especially with both of them promoting top-tier fighters in a competitive market. Whether De La Hoya's critiques hold weight or are just part of the sport's promotional drama, it's clear that he's keeping a close eye on Hearn's every move, and fans are eager to see how it all unfolds. As Eddie Hearn looks to rebuild Anthony Joshua's career, there are significant questions about how he will approach this task. Joshua, once the undefeated golden boy of British boxing, has now suffered several high-profile defeats, with his back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk and his recent upset against Daniel Dubois putting a major dent in his once untouchable legacy. Despite this, Joshua remains one of the biggest names in boxing, and there is still an enormous financial incentive to keep him active. Hearn will likely need to carefully map out Joshua's next steps, possibly opting for lower-risk fights to restore his confidence before targeting bigger names in the heavyweight division. With the heavyweight landscape packed with potential blockbuster matchups against names like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Usyk, Hearn's strategy for rebuilding Joshua will be under the microscope, not only from fans, but also from promoters like De La Hoya, who are waiting for the next misstep. Oscar De La Hoya's criticism, though pointed and exaggerated for dramatic effect, highlights the high stakes of boxing promotion. In a sport where one fight can make or break a career, the role of a promoter is critical, especially when managing a superstar like Joshua. De La Hoya's own experience as a promoter and a former fighter gives him unique insight into the pressures Hearn faces, though his public remarks suggest there's little sympathy. For De La Hoya, who oversees fighters like Ryan Garcia and Jamie Munguia, the rivalry with Hearn extends beyond personal clashes. It's a fight for dominance in the global boxing market. By positioning Hearn as someone who has fumbled Joshua's career, De La Hoya seeks to enhance his own reputation as a promoter while diminishing Hearn's. This is part of a broader struggle for influence in the boxing world, where promoters are constantly vying to sign the best fighters and land the biggest fights. De La Hoya's attacks serve as both personal digs and professional positioning. At the same time, this public feud between two of boxing's biggest promoters keeps fans engaged and adds another layer of drama to an already volatile sport. With social media amplifying these rivalries, fans now follow not just the fighters, but the promoters themselves, adding to the entertainment value of the sport. This creates more opportunities for promoters like De La Hoya and Hearn to build their brands and influence. For Hearn, the challenge is clear. He must navigate Joshua's comeback while fending off public criticism from his rivals. And as De La Hoya continues to stoke the flames, the boxing world will be watching closely to see how Hearn handles both the pressure of rebuilding a fallen star and the ongoing public rivalry with De La Hoya. Whether this rivalry ultimately helps or hurts either man standing in the sport, it is clear that these clashes between promoters are now an essential part of modern boxing.